In this video, I want to address a false common wisdom that you should not be the first to name a price in a negotiation.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
Because naming a price has some advantages, and we're going to go over them. It is admittedly very complicated to name the right price because every potential person you talk to has a different ideal price point. So it's a science and an art to name the exact right price, and I'll walk you through how to get as close as possible to it. So even though it seems bad, like maybe the fear is that you shoot yourself in the foot. That's what everyone's afraid of when naming the first price. They're afraid of, giving themselves too little. Okay. So the thing is that if you name the first price, it gives you an advantage because you get to lead the conversation and you get to draw the parameters of the conversation. The parameters are the limit ranges of the price points. So if you name a high price, that's the start of the negotiation and you have a lot of room to come down. That's your advantage essentially. You get to draw your own lines in the sand first, and you get to create psychological barriers. The only challenge with that is even though you want to price high, because you want to leave room to come down, what you don't want to do is price too high. So sticker shock, as they call it, when people see a big price, maybe on a price, the sticker price, that's what it's called. You want to create sticker shock, but you don't want to create excessive sticker shock. If the person is too dejected after seeing your price and it's way out of their range, then they're just gonna most likely they're just gonna give up. They're gonna say, "Wow, this is really out of my range." They're gonna look for something else. They might not even tell you that just might be their psychological process, so you won't have a way to fix that. So this is where the science and art comes from, is that before naming your price, you need to get a sense for who you're talking to as much as possible. You can ask them some qualifying questions. So you need to have as much conversation as possible without giving the price first, okay? Because when you, for example, have a conversation, let's say you're selling something for $5,000, which is a difficult thing for an individual to afford, but a reasonable thing for a company to afford. So the first thing you want to figure out is, are they just starting, or are they maybe in their third or fourth year of doing business? Those two kinds of personas can afford very, very different things. The person starting will probably have a very hard time making that decision. The person with an established business that has revenue and profit has room in their budget for stuff. So you don't have to play the price dance as much with them. So sometimes they'll tell you their price range, sometimes they'll tell you what they like, and sometimes they'll be completely oblivious. They're like, well, I'm just starting to look. So all of these are cues for you. These are signs in the road for how, right? So as they're talking, you're in your mind calculating what price you should name to them. Okay, if they want you to name a price, okay, fine. And everything they tell you, you sort of adjust your price accordingly, little lower, little higher, depending on if they say they have money, if you can, or if then you kind of keep the price high. If you see that, okay, this person is broke and they're really price conscious, then you bring the price a little lower, as long as you are able to have the price flexibility, of course. And then you're able to establish ranges, and also you're going to be able to know if this sounds like a sophisticated potential customer, then they'll know to negotiate. But some unsophisticated potential customers, they don't even know that they can negotiate in different points. They'll just think, oh, I can or can't afford the price I'm told. But you need them to get into the negotiation so that they can come to a price where you don't lose the deal. So if they're not sophisticated, you want to hint to them that, hey, just for you, I can bring the price down, or different phrases like that, just to give them a sense that the price is not set in stone. Because every once in a while, people really think that the price is set in stone where you're ready to negotiate, but they're just not, and so they leave because you might have priced them out. So you want to be careful of that. So the takeaway is you get to dictate the terms if you set the price first. But just don't be wild with it and don't be random with it. Be smart with it by listening to what the person tells you about themselves, and anything that they tell you, like where they're from, because some countries, like $1 is $1, but that same dollar in a different country might be very expensive, right? So, different prices are, work for different countries. So every possible detail they tell you, you have to, if you can, you have to adjust the price that you name them. So over time, you'll get better at that. And of course, knowing your competition also helps you to know how to name the price, because probably you're not the first company they've talked to, so they probably have heard some prices. So these are all the parameters that, like I said, it's a science and an art, and you kind of have to really have an educated guess to get as close as possible to the price that will really work for that person. And if they really have a low ball range that they can only afford, then you really have to have secondary options for them. So you say, well, the thing that you want, you can't have for this price, but here are other options for you. So you don't lose that sale and you still get something from that client. So this is the strategy for naming your own price and leading the conversation of the sales conversation and negotiation.